Are you still making those student loan payments and wondering if you're doing it right? The rules just changed, and so should your strategy. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire, helping law firm owners build their businesses and their wealth. I'm your host, Darren Wirtz. Okay, so you've built a law firm, but those student loans are still hanging over your head. With new federal policies rolling out and interest resuming soon, now is the time to get serious about your repayment plan or risk falling behind.
We are on a mission to help lawyers and law firm owners maximize wealth and achieve financial independence. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire with Darren Wirtz from Wirtz Financial Services.
Before we dive in today, are you in our book club yet? Each quarter, we read a powerful book that helps you grow your wealth and your firm. And right now, we're reading Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Join us for insights, accountability, and connection with other law firm owners. Visit lawyermillionaire.com to get started. Okay, welcome back. And this is episode 2 of our student loan series. I'm so excited that you're here today because, this may not be a fun and exciting topic, but I'm actually really pumped because I've got some great things I want to share with you today. And this is something that so many law firm owners need to hear. A clear, actionable plan for paying off your student loans. I have law firm owner clients in their 40s and some in their 50s who still have student loans out there. In fact, I know someone who is in her 80s who has a student loan that she is refusing to pay off. But anyway, in our last episode, we talked about understanding your loans and how millionaires think about debt, trying to reframe the debt picture and think about it more strategically. And today we're getting strategic. We're going to walk through the latest federal policies, smart repayment methods, and some creative tips and tricks that most financial advisors may not tell you. Okay, so whether you're just getting your law firm off the ground or managing a thriving practice, we're going to give you some great tools. Let's start with what's new. Okay, so the One Big Beautiful Bill was signed into law on July 4th. That's interesting coincidence there. Anyway, it's changed a lot of things. So one of the biggest things you need to be aware of is that most of your old income-driven repayment plans are being phased out. And now federal borrowers only have 2 options. That's right, only 2 left. The standard repayment plan, which spans from 10 to 25 years, or there's a new 30-year repayment assistance plan, or RAP. We're getting creative with the acronyms here. So there were a lot of acronyms before. If you were on the SAVE plan or others like the PayE or the ICR, those will sunset in 2028. And another big thing we need to be aware of is that interest is resuming on millions of federal loans starting August 1st, 2025. Yes, that's right. Interest is back. Okay. New borrowing caps have also been introduced. So for graduate loans, you're limited up to $20,500 a year and $100,000 for your lifetime. For law and medical school loans, it's $50,000 a year and $200,000 total. Also, collections have restarted, which means if you're falling behind, the government can now garnish your wages or intercept your tax refund. So that's a big wake-up call, okay? Big things have changed. All right, so before we get into tactics, let's talk about, today we're talking about repaying your student loans, okay? So how do we do that? Well, step 1, you may not love it, but step 1 is very simply build a budget, build a business-aware budget. The foundation of having a really good strategy for paying down your loans is to build a budget. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to plan out every single dollar of spending, but you want to be aware of your basic needs, your basic spending needs, and how much you should have left over in discretionary funds to pay your student loans. If you're not tracking your cash flow, you're flying blind. Okay, so that's step 1, is just being aware, tracking your cash flow. Use a great tool like Monarch or some of the other budgeting apps to help you track your expenses. Student loans are payments are not going to be optional, right? There's a minimum payment. It's a fixed expense, just like rent or payroll. And so build that into your monthly budget as a non-discretionary cost. But then think about and try to figure out how much extra you have and where that extra should be going. Think of your budget as a cash control system for your entire business and life. And if your personal and business finances are separate, that's even better. That's step one, right? We've got to get the personal finances and the business finances separate. It's amazing how many times I find that these are intermingled, and that makes it very, very difficult. And another way you could think about it, you could make the budgeting process easier. One way to make the budgeting process easier is to use what I call a banking-based budgeting. Okay, so banking-based budgeting is where you basically have separate accounts for separate purposes. And I do this. I have an income account. It's basically profit first applied to your personal bank accounts. Okay, so I have an income account. All the money comes in there. And then it gets divvied up in percentages. A percentage goes to bills. These are the things I've got to pay. I don't have a choice: mortgage, utilities, etc. And then there's an amount that goes to spending. And spending I can spend on whatever, because nothing's coming out of that account. You could create similar set up similar funds, accounts for different purposes. You could have a special account for extra loan payments. We'll talk about that in a second. The next step 2, is to automate your payments. Automation is the key. And this should be a no-brainer, right? Everybody's on autopay, but maybe it should be said. Enroll in autopay with your loan servicer so that you'll never miss a payment. And, if you're like some people, maybe me, I admit it, I have a few student loans still sitting out there. And, it's been nice the last few years not to have to think about those. But maybe it's time to dust them off, find where they are. They've moved around maybe a couple times, different servicers. Dig through your emails. Make sure you're signed up for those auto payments. And, most lenders will actually knock off maybe 0.25% or so from your interest rate just for having automatic payment enabled. Even better, you could automate extra payments. Set it and forget it. Don't rely on motivation. Build consistency into your system. Okay, so you've automated, got your budget, you know how much to pay, you've got it on autopilot. Step 3, choose your repayment plan. Now, we're not talking about, the wrap or the other one. Let's talk tactics. Okay, so you may have heard of the snowball, right? The debt snowball method. Dave Ramsey made this famous. Well, the debt snowball is great for motivation. You start by paying off your smallest loan first, and that quick win is going to feel great, right? Ooh, I knocked one out. Okay, let's knock the next one out. It's going to keep you going. That's great. It's great for motivating. And a lot of us need that. Our psychology, what's fun about paying off loans? Some people are motivated by that, but not everybody. The second idea is the avalanche method. We're sticking with the snow here, folks. Sticking with the snow. Okay. So the avalanche method is the most mathematically efficient, but maybe not the most motivating. And with the avalanche method, what you do is you're going to pay minimums on all your loans. You're going to throw any extra funds towards the one that has the highest interest rate, and you're going to attack that one first. Okay. So avalanche. Okay. I won't explain why we have those different names, but let's look at a case study. Okay. You've got one loan. I'll give you an example. You got one loan has $15,000 at a 4% rate. You have a second loan at $30,000, so it's bigger, and it has a higher interest rate, 10%. You have $1,000 a month to put towards your loan. If you snowball, and we've made some assumptions, we just got rid of minimum payments, but if you snowball and you pay just the small one first and then attack the bigger one, which has a higher interest rate, you're going to get that first one knocked out pretty quick. It's going to feel great, but you're going to have more work to do on the second one. It's going to take you 56 months total. 56 months. What is that? 5 years almost. Okay. But if you prioritize paying the highest interest loan first, you'll finish in 53 months. So 3 months sooner, and you'll save $2,600. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but that could be very helpful to some people. And if you're capable of it, if you're capable of putting things on autopilot and it's not a challenge for you, I do recommend the avalanche method. But if you need an extra kick of motivation, Snowball might work for you. All right, so you've got it. You got your strategy. You're ready to go. Everything's on autopilot. Great. Let's talk about a couple other quick questions. Should you refinance? Refinancing, and we'll talk more about refinancing later on. But refinancing can save you money under the right conditions, and it can make sense when you're moving from a generally high average interest rate to a lower average interest rate. Interest rates have come up over the last few years since 2020, when a lot of student loan payments went on pause. So it may not make sense in today's interest rate environment. But that's the key. You want to make sure that your average interest rate is being lowered. It can make sense when your income is stable, because if you're going to go from federal loans to private loans, you may lose some of those federal loan advantages like deferment and forbearance and things like that. And it can also make sense when your credit score is strong. So those are three things to look for, right? When you're refinancing. Are you going to lower your average interest rate? Is your income stable? And is your credit score strong? Refinancing can be a mistake, though, for a couple of reasons. So some cons to think about. You could lose your federal protections. And if you're just doing it to lower your payments, that might be a mistake, because you might be pushing things out further, and you may not want to do that. But some lenders do offer bonuses for refinancing, so take a look around for some special offers. If they're offering you some extra cash, you could throw that into your loans. Another thing people think about is consolidation. Does consolidation make sense for my student loans? And it can simplify things for sure. But here's the thing. If you consolidate multiple loans into one, you're going to lose your ability to be strategic. So no more snowball, no more avalanche. Now, maybe it gives you some peace of mind, but here's the thing again, the key with consolidation, just like refinancing, only consolidate if it's going to lower your average interest rate and help you pay off your student loans sooner with the same or a lower payment. Otherwise, you're just making the bankers more wealthy, and who wants to do that, right? Okay, so that's some helpful things for you. Okay, I want to get to the fun part, and here's the fun part. Creative tips and hacks for paying your loans down faster. Ooh, what's this all about? Now for the good stuff. All right, so tip number 1, match extra payments with business windfalls. You get an extra big case, big bonus, you hit a revenue surge. Set aside a portion of that for your extra loan payments. Don't go and blow it all on Amazon. It doesn't have to be huge, and no, you don't have to take all of your surplus and put it on your loans, but even 10% of a big win can help you make a serious dent. Tip 2, create a student loan sinking fund. Remember, we're talking about banking-based budgeting, having different bank accounts for different purposes. That's a mouthful. Instead of paying extra monthly, stash a surplus in a high-yield savings account. Once per quarter, apply it as a lump sum to your principal. That might help. Tip 3, use roundup apps. Okay, there are certain apps like Coins or Change Ed that can round up your daily purchases to apply the difference towards your loans. Every time you make a payment, you buy something, it's $10.50. They're going to round up to 11, take that 50 cents and plug it into your loans. It's kind of a sneaky way of getting yourself to pay more towards your student loans. It's passive. You're not thinking about it, and it actually can add up pretty quickly. I know people who've done that for just extra savings, and it adds up to hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands. Tip 4, use credit card rewards. Use found money, right? Extra money. Use found money. Credit card rewards are a great one. Usually we take our credit card rewards and we just plop it into our bank accounts, or we splurge it, right? But you might be able to use that for your loans. Maybe that's a better option. If your servicer allows it, you could redeem your cashback rewards towards your loans, or take the cash out and then pay that onto your loans. Just make sure you're not getting into trouble with credit card balances, right? Tip 5, gamify. Yes, gamify. Gamify your payoff. Tie extra payments to key performance indicators. Ooh, this is fun for those business savvy folks out there. For example, Every time you hit a new monthly revenue goal, celebrate by paying an extra $250 towards your loans. Make it a game, right? You got to make it fun. Tip 6, bi-weekly payments. Instead of monthly payments, split your payment in half and send it every 2 weeks. You'll end up making an extra payment, 13 payments instead of 12. It's a sneaky way of tricking yourself into making an extra loan payment once per year. And then that can shave years off your student loans. Tip 7, set up a repayment assistance benefit for yourself. Talk to your CPA about this, but you could use a Section 127 plan. Your firm could pay up to $5,250 per year tax-free towards your loans. Now, you want to check with your CPA on that one, but for those law firm owners out there looking for some tax benefits, there's one for you. Tip 8, share your journey publicly. Right? Make it get your LinkedIn followers involved. If you're building your brand, incorporate your student loan payoff story into your marketing. Make it a thing, right? It humanizes you and it creates connection with your audience. All right, before we go, just a couple things. Another thing to think about. If you're a business owner, or a law firm owner, or a lawyer who has a different kind of compensation structure, you may have this thing we call irregular income. And, your income may not be great now. It may grow. It may fluctuate. So you can tie your repayment strategy to your growth and to your income fluctuations simply by using a percentage strategy. If cash is tight right now, focus on staying current. Just make your minimum payments and use some of those tricky little methods like apps and automations and roundups to help you. And if your income is rising, then you can start paying off more, right? It's okay. It's okay to not be able to put a lot yet on your student loans. Just, focus on growing your practice, growing your income, and then make sure that your payment towards your loans is growing with your income, right? Instead of expanding your lifestyle, as we so often do as our incomes grow, expand your payment towards your student loans. Okay, well, I hope I've given you some great things to think about today. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. With the right approach, you can do it. You can pay off those student loans that have been hanging over your head. So here's my challenge to you today. Don't let these loans just be background noise in your financial life. Pick a strategy from today's episode, automating your payments, refinancing smartly, or gamifying your payoff, and put it into action this week. And at the Lawyer Millionaire, we believe that long-term wealth begins with strategic, intentional decisions just like this. Paying down your student loans isn't just about getting out of debt. It's about getting you to freedom, right? Getting you to financial freedom. And that's where we're all trying to get. And that's what we help law firm owners with every day. And we'd love to help you as well. To learn more about us, visit lawyermillionaire.com, where, by the way, you can download the first chapter of my book for free, which is titled The Lawyer Millionaire, of course. And don't forget to join the book club. It's free, it's fun, and it's full of ambitious attorneys just like you. Well, don't forget to join us next time as well, because we're going to be diving into part 3 of our student loan series and continuing on in this discussion, give you some more ideas. I think next time we're talking about, should you invest or pay off your student loans? That's a great question that I get so often. So, well, friend, we're down to the end of our episode. I just have one last question for you, and that is, who is the Lawyer Millionaire? That's right. It's you, my friend. Own it and live it. I'm your host, Darren Wirtz. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Lawyer Millionaire. Click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. This content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. This content is not intended to represent investing or tax advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified investment or tax advisor with any questions you may have regarding your own financial circumstances.